In this video, we'll be giving an overview of how to operate the Pocket Mini 2, as well as our impressions on the device after having put it through some testing. The Pocket Mini 2 was released in 2020, and it's the most recent in the Pocket Mini line from DJI. Our Pocket 2 came in the Creator Kit that comes with a great selection of accessories to aid you in video creation, including a micro tripod, a wrist strap, a USB splitter charging cable, a mini control stick, a tripod mount, a do-it-all handle extension, 2 types of smartphone adapter, USB-C and Lightning, a wireless microphone transmitter and windscreen, a wide-angle lens adapter, a case for keeping the device in, and the Pocket 2 itself. There's also a more basic pack that comes with less accessories, keeping the price down by providing only the essential core features. One point to note is that the Pocket 2 is also compatible with any of your old original Pocket Mini accessories. When you first unbox your Pocket Mini 2 and weigh it in your hand, you'll probably be impressed with how small and aptly pocketable the device is, with it weighing in at a mere 117 grams without any accessories attached. You'll also get a feel for the great build quality of the device. The Pocket Mini 2 feels rugged and durable. Despite having a rather boxy rectangular form factor, the Pocket feels natural to hold, partly due to its aforementioned light weight, but also due to it being the perfect diameter, at least for my hands, to wrap your hands around the device in a natural, relaxed, balled fist that makes the camera feel easy to hold for long stretches of time. When it comes to taking it out for a long shoot day, the Pocket 2's battery gets to full charge in an hour and 15 minutes, and lasts for just over 2 hours of continuous usage without any battery aiding accessories. This might not sound like a huge amount of time, but if you're shooting semi-continuously or only in short bouts, this could be more than enough battery for a day's shoot. Or if this really is a deal breaker for you, then maybe consider an alternate device from the DJI line, like using your phone paired with a DJI phone gimbal, which might have a longer battery life, but does forego the all-in-one nature of the Pocket 2. The lens built into the Pocket 2 is a f1.8 20mm equivalent lens, filtering light to a 1.7-inch CMOS sensor. Of course, the sensor size is small. There's only so much you can fit into such a small body. However, what the Pocket 2 manages to achieve with that small sensor size is surprisingly high-quality results. One thing to note is that I found the gimbal was grainy in low light. Take a look at this shot, where the grain is really quite pronounced. The lens comes with a magnetic snap-on adapter that converts the lens to being a slightly wider 15mm lens, perfect for action or sports video work. The body of the unit has the following controls built in. Tapping and holding in the side button on the device switches the device on and off. The record button, press to record. The function button next to the record button, when single tapped, changes from photo to video mode. When double tapped, it recenters the gimbal, and when triple tapped, it flips the camera. Holding in this button locks off the gimbal's orientation. The joystick either controls the zooming or manually controls the gimbal movement on the pan and tilt axis. The button next to the joystick, when tapped a single time, changes the shooting mode between the following options. Follow, which is your standard kind of mode, tilt locked, which only allows for compensation on the horizontal axis, and FPV, which allows for the gimbal to compensate on the roll axis as well. Double tapping this will change the analog stick from zooming in to controlling the gimbal's movement manually. The screen on the Pocket 2 is a touchscreen, and dragging in from any of the 4 edges of the screen brings up different settings and features. Pulling from the top brings up advanced settings. Starting at the left, we have this option which allows you to alter the function of the analog stick. Tapping this will change it from zooming and altering the movement of the gimbal. Then here we have the settings icon. In here you can change whether you're previewing full screen or not. I'd personally keep this as being full screen off, so that you're getting a true preview of the 16:9 aspect ratio when filming. To the right of this you have the SD card section, where you can see how much space you have left, and if you click in, you can format your card. On the bottom left is the selfie mode, which allows for the device to automatically track your face when the camera is in the rear facing position. At the bottom right, we have the accessories tab, where you can directly manage any accessories attached to the camera and their individual settings. The second page of the settings has the calibration tab on the top left, which when clicked lets you calibrate the device's gyros on a level surface. The bottom left is a toggle for turning on and off keytone noises. I'd recommend keeping these off unless it's an aid for you if you're slightly visually impaired. The top right is an anti-flicker mode. If you're not looking to manually control your settings, then having this enabled would be helpful in avoiding those awkward moments when light sources in your frame may flicker from an inappropriately set shutter. And at the bottom right is a More tab, which when accessed gives you options to change the device's language, reset the device, and view the device's info, primarily information regarding what firmware is currently installed. To the right of the settings menu we have the glamour effects. These can only be accessed on certain frame rates and are pretty much inbuilt filters. I wouldn't rush to use these, but it might be handy for some people, especially if you're vlogging. Next is the battery saver and quality mode toggle. Here you can switch between those two modes, again depending on what frame rate and resolution options you've selected. As the name suggests, the quality setting gives you a slightly better bitrate, whereas the battery saver setting gives you better battery life in exchange for a slightly lower bitrate. Then finally we get to the Pro mode. When toggled on, a Pro tab will appear on your screen when outside the menu. This tab, when touched, gives you advanced control over your image making, and so I definitely recommend toggling this on if you have any prior experience manually controlling cameras. If you're more casually inclined, then leaving this off would be fine. We'll go through the Pro menu in a bit more detail in a minute. Pulling in from the left brings up your preview screen, wherein you can review and watch back footage you've already shot by swiping up and down through the library. Pulling up from the bottom gives you an alternate means of accessing the function button's functions. The functions are the following. Top left is to recenter. Top right is to flip the camera angle. Bottom left is to toggle between quick and slow camera movements. I'd keep this on slow unless you're following a speedy subject. And the bottom right toggles between the gimbal modes as previously discussed. If we pull from the right, we can access the full range of shooting modes, or alternatively, we can use a handy USB-C adapter to plug our smartphone in to function both as a monitor and as a means of accessing these controls via the DJI Mimo app. Anyone who has used the Mimo app for other DJI devices, such as the OM series of gimbals, will be comfortable using the easily laid out interface of the app. For those that aren't in the know, I'll give a quick insight into the features accessible and the ways in which the app's controls mirror those on the device itself. Your shooting modes, as with on the device, are accessed from the right of the interface, and you can swipe between them. The top bar gives you a readout of battery, internet access, and SD storage. Your current camera settings, for instance, your shutter and ISO, are present at the bottom of the screen. Your resolution, glamour mode, and exposure settings are all accessible on the left side of the screen. The bottom right corner play button allows you to access and preview prior recordings. Detailed, in-depth, and intuitive further app navigation guides are available within the Mimo app. To get a real picture of how these shooting modes function, we're going to have to take the Pocket Mini out for some testing. But first, let's run through our recommended setup. This is only advisory, and you may want to set your Pocket Mini up differently. If so, feel free to ignore this section. To start, we're going to make sure we have the Pro mode turned on. Then, let's navigate over to our main screen, before then accessing the Pro menu. Here, I'd personally do the following. Set my exposure to manual so that you can manually set your shutter to double your frame rate, in my case 1/100 due to having my FPS set to 50, and then set your ISO to an automax value of your choosing. I'm personally putting it at 1600 as I don't want my shots to be too grainy, but this basically means that the ISO will auto adjust to the limit you set. Then at the bottom left select your resolution and FPS. My FPS is set to 50 and my resolution to 4K. This is so I can slow my footage down by 50%, effectively further smoothing out any footage. The reason behind me shooting 4K is that it's advantageous in the edit, as it means we can crop in if there is any need to without a loss of quality. The shooting modes available on the device are the following. Panoramas, both 3x3 and 180-degree panoramas. The 3x3 gives more of a wide-angle lens effect, whereas the 180-degree mode of panorama produces a narrower panorama, more typical of what you'd expect. Photo mode produces surprisingly high-resolution photos. Have a look at how tight we can crop in to this photo without losing quality. Slow-mo mode lets you shoot through higher frame rates than typical. There are 3 time-lapse modes. There's standard time lapses, motion lapses, wherein you can select to either move right to left to right, or a custom movement that you can set the 2 points for. And finally, hyperlapses, that let you take a time-lapse whilst moving with the gimbal. Both the time-lapse mode and the motion-lapse mode let you determine the intervals between shots and the duration. However, the hyperlapse mode works slightly differently, instead letting you determine the overall speed of the hyperlapse and the resolution of the outputted video. Video mode. This is your standard mode that you'll be using most of the time. Here's a variety of footage shot in this mode to give you an idea of how the camera and stabilization performs. The Pocket Mini's gimbal has a good range of movement, especially vertically when operating, as you can see from this footage, and it was very rare that the maximum gimbal limit was reached. The Pocket Mini 2 is primarily useful for those looking to create vlog-style content, or for people looking for a light and pocketable travel camera. In this department, it excels. I could see it also being useful for people using it in a more professional capacity, perhaps as a supplementary camera in a kit bag for a specific scenario, like perhaps a walkthrough video of an interior location. But overall, the Pocket Mini 2 is a solid choice for anyone looking for a small, pocketable and high quality camera.